Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and we're going to be looking at how to write a strong explanation as to what's going on with our two pod claims and how to utilize our understanding of that relationship between velocity and force to best explain what's going on. So first and foremost, we are going to be writing about this idea of cause and effect, okay, between our force and our velocity. And we're going to really focus on understanding this effect so we can infer and lead us to a particular conclusion about our pod, okay? So we're going to hopefully understand how the velocity and force of our pod occurred in those unknown minutes and then kind of infer about what truly could have happened based on that knowledge of force and velocity, okay? So we're really going to have to understand force and velocity. We're going to really have to utilize those ideas and those key important terms to explain to our ground team what is happening, okay? And more importantly, when we get into writing about these two pod claims and what could have happened, we're going to need to clearly state how different strengths of forces, strong or weak, could result in those changes that we're seeing. So let's go ahead and look at an example of how we use good, strong writing with our vocab and build in this idea of cause and effect. So we're going to take a step back and think about that jar lid experiment that we did and that idea of what caused the lid to start moving across the floor. So someone could write that the launcher caused the lid to start moving across the floor. And that's a very simple way of saying, here's the cause and here's the effect. The launcher caused the lid and the effect was it moving across the floor. But this explanation is very simple and doesn't pull in those key ideas of force and velocity and really doesn't give us a good, strong understanding of cause and effect. So to have good, strong writing, we have to pull in vocab and we have to pull in different phrases we can use to explain this cause and effect relationship. So let's look at a really good example, okay? So when I release the launcher, this when kind of gives us that cause, okay? The launcher exerted a force on the jar lid. Notice I'm pulling in two important vocabulary words, exerted and a force. So it applied this force to the jar lid. As a result, now we're looking at the effect. So the when was the cause, the as a result was the effect. As a result of the force exerted by the launcher, the velocity of the jar lid changed and it started moving across the floor. So we have the when and the as a result. That's your cause and effect. We're using that phrase to really show we understand that key relationship. We're pulling in these ideas of force and velocity, talking about what's exerting the force, what's changing the velocity, and that sort of thing. So notice, again, good writing as a scientist pulls in those phrases to help explain the relationship. It pulls in those vocab words to use them. So let's go ahead and look at how we're going to use those ideas. Thank you. Use those ideas in our writing. Now, the third writing example here is going to be where you guys come in, and we're going to use these important words, these phrases to answer, to explain two big important claims. So our words that we're going to be using in our explanation of our two claims is force, exert, velocity, cause, and effect. Those words are what we should be using to explain what's happening with both claims related to both pod scenarios. The cause and effect words and phrases are the words we use to explain this idea of cause and effect. Now, do we need to use all of these? No, we can use some, but we should definitely be using some of them. So what you're going to do is you're going to use these words here and these phrases to kind of finish these sentences explaining what's going on with the force and velocity of our pod for claim one. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to use those vocab words and those cause and effect phrases to write what's going on with our pod thrusters and the velocity and force for claim two. Notice you're writing what you think's going on for both claims. You're explaining both claims to the best of your abilities, and you're pulling these in however it makes sense to you, okay? And then obviously when you're done writing, you're going to hit that hand in button. Now, your job, go to that survey, really think about, do I understand what's expected of me? If you put that X in that red row, call me into your breakout room. Otherwise, if you have questions, let me know, and good luck.